This is what they said. They said, do you like San Francisco? I said, yeah, I love it. It's gorgeous. They said, you'll hate LA. And then I was thinking, well, that seems rather unfair. So I fly into LA and I get into the taxi to get to my hotel, and the taxi driver, he's like, so where are you from? And I'm from Virginia, a small town. And he goes, oh, how small? I said, 1,200 people. And he goes, ha ha ha. He laughs, and which is always a good way to start a conversation, mirth. And then he goes, so what do you guys do for dating? I said, oh, what do you mean? He goes, do you date your brothers and sisters? Anyway, so you guys have to be a good showing for LA here, because right now I gotta tell you. Okay, so I also have my mint tea because I have Chipotle breath, and I'll be like. Okay, so Linger. I can't believe it's out because we had advanced review copies that came out in November of last year, and so it seems like it's been out for a really long time, but nobody's read it, which is really demoralizing, and now suddenly everybody has read it. It's really strange. Yeah, so for Linger's release, my publisher decided to do a book blogger tour. Actually, first I should say, can I have a show of hands for everyone who's on Twitter that knew about it from Twitter? How about Facebook? Hey, you guys are awesome. You make all of my hours of procrastination so worthwhile. Anyway, so my publisher set up this whole book blogger tour, which if you're not familiar with a book blog tour, what happens is your publicist goes in, coordinates dates, and publicists are very instrumental in some way that I haven't yet figured out how, but you need them. And then bloggers, they devise guest blog topics, and they make little widgets that count down to your book release date, and they devise deep, probing questions that plumb the depths of the artistic soul, like, if you were a cookie, what kind of cookie would you be? Anyway, so then they take all these questions and they compile them and they send them to my publicist, who sends them to me, and I answer them all with varying degrees of truthfulness in the spirit of being entertaining. So last year when Shiver came out, we had about 20 book bloggers that did about 5 or 10 questions each, which I thought was a lot of questions. This year we had 50 book bloggers all doing 5 to 10 questions each, which is a lot more. And the problem with this is that I had to be more truthful because people could cross-reference my answers. But aside from that, it was actually useful. Aside from getting my name out there, it helps me as the author to know what the question is going to be. The question that I'm going to hear again and again and again and again for the next year. And that way I can get really good at answering it or avoiding it. Yeah? And so by the time Shiver came out, I already knew what the question was going to be. And it was this. What inspired you to write Shiver? Yeah, and so everyone knows the answer to that question now, which is, of course, I'm a terrible person. I like to watch people cry. I like to make people cry, preferably while wearing mascara, contact lenses, or at their place of business. So any of you guys who did that, thanks. Yeah, so I had heard this question so many times. If I had a pony for every single time people asked me this question, we could all take chariots home today. And so here it is, and it's a year later, and for Linger, I already kind of know what the questions are going to be thanks to the blog interviews. And it's kind of a two-parter. One is, did you do a lot of research for Linger? Did you read a lot of werewolf books? That's the first one. I realize that's actually a two-parter in one, but stick with me. And then the next one is, why werewolves? Which you'd think they'd ask for Shiver, actually, but I really got it a lot more now. It's like I've strained the bounds of credulity or something. Anyway, so this being my tour and release date, I'm going to take the first crack at trying to answer these in a coherent fashion, and you guys get to hear my stumbling efforts. Does that sound good? Say yeah. There we go. Okay, so the first question, research and werewolf books. I have to admit, it kind of baffles me. Not because I didn't do a lot of research for Linger, because I did. I did tons of research. I spent hours on medical websites looking up things like hypothalamus and hippocampus and woo, adrenaline. I saw it surprise people. I like that. I spent hours tormenting my father, who's a doctor, over the dinner table or on the telephone while he was at work, asking him for things on mutagenic viruses and why bad things happen to good people's DNA. Be all, hey Dad, can you help me out? I need something about a giant raging fever and I can't get it down with anything. Can we change a body temperature? And he's like, Margaret, which is what he always does when he's mad at me or he's busy. And he goes, I have my hands in some man's chest cavity. Can I call you back? I'm like, yeah, but just answer my question first. So if anybody died in the making of this film, I'm very sorry.